Welcome everybody to Propel. Thank you all for coming. My name is Sam Howie. So Propel is an event that we're running, and it's the first one we've done in London, which is really exciting. It's where we bring in industry colleagues, specialists, to talk about commercial property, to talk about technology, and talk about, I guess, the trends in the market. So thank you everyone for coming. I know we've got an expert property panel that are going to be talking not just about property, about technology, about commercial property, and about things that are happening in the industry. We've got our facilitator, Guy Montague-Jones, who is the Deputy Editor at Property Week and is going to be running the panel this evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to you, Guy. Questions are going to be at the end, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. Well, there can be no doubt that the PropTech sector has enjoyed tremendous growth over the last few years. Now sort of barely a week seems to go by without a press release about a new PropTech startup kind of hitting my inbox. But sometimes in the past it has kind of felt as if the sort of PropTech sector is sort of talking a little bit to itself. But I think what's changed probably in the last year and a half is you've really seen the property industry wake up to the potential of technology. And you really started to see the property industry talk to the tech side a lot more. So it's good today that we've got that reflected here. We've got two people from the tech side and two people from the property side. So just starting with the property side, Paul, how have you seen things change sort of over the past decade in terms of use of tech in the property sector?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you, it's changed a lot in the last sort of 15, 20 years that I've been involved in property. And although as you get older, it's harder to remember exactly what it was like back then. So I'm trying my best. Just in terms of what I remember, putting deals together back then, it was all about lots of physical files, lots of dusty files, going to lawyers' offices and having an actual data room where there were loads of files. And you'd have your tenancy schedule, you'd have your balance sheet, you'd have due diligence reports. Everything was in one room, and if you were lucky, you were allowed to photocopy it and take it away with you. And what that meant was, from a deal analysis perspective, you had to physically take everything and enter it into your little Excel spreadsheet to try and analyze what deal you might do in the property world. And you have a tenancy schedule. You may have 300 tenants, and someone had to key that in and hopefully key it in accurately as well. And so nothing downloaded to each other, or if it did, the downloading would have been unreliable, and you'd have to make sure it was all, correctly put in again. So it is a lot easier now than it was back then.
And Tom, how are you sort of seeing things from your perspective, looking at property management in particular? How have things been shaken up by technology?
The property side never came to the table for a lot of prop tech players, but a lot of that was the prop tech players' fault. They were making solutions that they had experienced, usually in residential space, where they'd go out there and they'd have a bad experience and they'd go and try and create this piece of software that they thought would be amazing. They'd take it to the markets, but they'd have no sort of understanding of the ecosystem and how that would fit in. And so they wouldn't be able to sell it. And that's a really important part of having a technology company, is to be able to sell it. So there's those sort of players that sort of washed out now, and I see the second wave coming through. So we consider ourselves leaders and a few others who are starting to gain momentum now, because there's a lot to build. If you're doing it in commercial property, particularly in property management, there's a lot to build. And it's hard. You've got to build all the accounting side, all the property side, and you've got to do it well, and you've got to do it on modern architecture, build it in the cloud. And so we spent the last 5-6 years building out all of the, I try not to call it the boring stuff, but it's not that exciting when you're talking about it, client accounting. But we had to build all those nuts and bolts, that core infrastructure, to now be able to start moving into the really innovative stuff that we want to get into now, which we're really, really excited about. But you have to put a huge amount of investment and energy into that now. So I'm seeing a big difference now that there's players like ourselves who have built that modern technology, really invested the time and the effort and the money into it, to really compete with the older software that's been around for a very long time.